Hello and welcome everybody to another edition of Midweek Matters. I'm your host James Graham, joined as always by Charlie White, and we are both in the fresh new t-shirts that are available now, Charlie.
They are. Sizes for everyone, Jimmy, so jump in, get around it. They are selling out quickly though, so I would recommend people if they want one, get on there quick.
You say for everyone?
Well, I'd go up to 4XL, Jimmy.
Not for everyone though.
We don't have any extra smalls though.
Well, there you go. Or children.
Or children, no.
Yeah, so but I mean, not quite for everyone.
What you can do, if you got a child, get a small.
Sounds good.
Get it. If you got a child, get a small, put it in the wash dryer, wash dryer, wash dryer, wash dryer. Just keep washing until it shrinks. Eventually a shirt might shrink. You know?
Yeah.
You don't do much laundry, I can already tell looking in your eyes. You don't even know what a dryer is.
Use the earth as my dryer.
Well, actually, speaking
the earth
of
is my dryer.
Speaking of you and washing, I actually met your parents the other day. Which was really nice to meet your parents.
Yeah.
What are they doing in Australia, by the way?
Holidaying.
Helping
they out with the children.
That's it, helping out the children. They told me that because your wife's doing the Dakota walk, you asked them to come and help you look after the kids, or fly all the way from England to come help you babysit your kids.
Well, it was either that or pay for professional help.
Yeah.
Or have the kids in here now during school holidays.
Well, that's fine. That's fine.
Is it?
You could learn a bit about podcasting. And
is it fine?
Yeah, it's fine with me.
It's just, it wasn't feasible.
Okay, yeah. So you are capable, you just have too much on.
Well, just, work is important to me and a priority. Can't just take holidays whenever we want.
No, you can't.
I don't just go, I'm on holiday, 3 weeks into the season and just piss off somewhere. So it's backfired on you, that one, hasn't it, mate?
Yeah, you've done well. You've done well.
See, priorities.
Yeah.
Not saying family aren't a top priority, but, you've got to balance it out. And, people have different attitudes to the working environment, which actually leads us nicely into where we're about to go.
It definitely does, Jimmy, because Jackson Topine has filed a lawsuit against the Canterbury Bulldogs. Obviously, everyone knows the story. Last year, he left the Bulldogs after a wrestling session where he was late to training, and then as punishment, a fairly standard common punishment that you do see in the NRL called shark bait, where you're then asked to wrestle a large number of his fellow teammates. He then left immediately after that and never actually returned to play for the Bulldogs ever again after that.
Yeah, I think there are some other things in there about wrongful dismissal.
Well, his contract, I guess, ended there. Like but that was, we don't necessarily need to go into the nitty gritty of that side of things yet. But it is a lawsuit that if this player wins this lawsuit, it changes the game forever. Yeah,
it does. So I have to be considered and careful with what I say. But this is remove my Bulldogs hat, talk about my attitude to professional sport. And I've read a couple of the comments in the paper that have gone before the court, and trying to position it like, oh, he was 20 minutes late for a session and he misread it. Oh, sorry, he was late for a session and he thought he was 20 minutes early. It's kind of like, well, so what? Like if I turn up late for this or whatever, or if I'm doing a commentary for Triple M for Anzac Day, kickoff's at 4, I rock up at 4:05 and you're like, where have you been? I'm like, man, I actually thought I'm 20 minutes early. Well, you're not. Oh, you know what, Charlie? I thought it was a day early. Well, you're not. You're actually late. Now, in professional sporting environment, there needs to be ramifications for being late. Wayne Bennett on tour, 2 rules: don't go to jail and don't be late. And I get it. I'm not saying I was never late. I have been, but usually when you're late, there's a punishment involved, or there's a selection of punishment involved, which can be completely random. One of the worst punishments can be where you get the treatment of private pile, where have you seen Full Metal Jacket?
No, I haven't. No.
No. Well, Private Pile sneaks in a jelly donut. The drill instructor finds the jelly donut and punishes everybody else.
Right.
But that person has to eat the donut
In front of everyone while
they're doing punishment. Not too dissimilar to that, where we all have to come in for training to start at 4:30 a.m.
Right.
So everybody then is off you.
Yeah.
So it's not just the individual. There's times where that happens. There's times where it will be a physical challenge, a mental challenge, shave your hair, dye your hair, some form of embarrassment, some form of ridicule. You might have to do community work, extra shifts, do whatever, help clean the dress. There's a wide variety of punishments, a rowing challenge, a vertical climber challenge, a wrestling challenge. Nothing that is beyond your capability, and nothing that, like, the talk of having to wrestle multiple players, and you're the only fatigued one, and you constantly, a fresh person comes on. That's part of training. That's not even punishment. That's part of your training. And you speak to people in the street, and this is what professional sport is. There needs to be standards in play, and it's so important because that where the Bulldogs were, every team would have different standards. People think now they watch an episode of Ted Lasso and they think they can fucking run a team by everybody up being airy fairy and up in real positivity, and we just get it's like there's a space for that, but there's got to be hard work. There's got to be standards met.
We'll wait and see what happens with it all, Jimmy. But Dale Finucane, one of your great mates, part of the Bahrain round table, absolute NRL legend, over 250 games, couple of premierships, state of origin for New South Wales. Unfortunately, he's had to call time in his career, medical retirement due to repeated head knocks. But what a legend he is as a footballer.
Yeah, and a really good friend. I actually met with Dale for coffee last Friday or a couple of weeks ago. We had a conversation around concussion and stuff like that, and he was still waiting to speak with the experts. So I'd spoke to him the weekend just gone before he announced his retirement, and look, very look. There's a level of concern for Dale's well-being, because I know how difficult this could be. 3 games into the season, your last game is one where you leave with a concussion. But I think Dale's made the right decision, as difficult of a decision that is. I would never tell him that he's got to retire. I think the doctors, sort of, from what I can gather of and what Dale said, that there was no decision to make. So there's not even a risk assessment there. So look, Dale is one of the toughest human beings I've ever played with and played alongside. I was devastated when he left the Bulldogs, and he's a credit to him and his family, and he's made the difficult but correct decision to move on. And obviously what he did there down at Melbourne, winning a couple of premierships, was so proud of him. Coach Bellamy speaks so highly of him. He is one unbelievably tough human being. I remember when I first came to the club in the Bulldogs, and there was him and Josh Jackson. I can remember thinking, like, wow, these young kids here at Bulldogs, that there's something different. There's something about these two. And yeah, they both went on and proved themselves and had amazing careers. And Dale is he's going to need some support now, how he navigates this difficult moment in his life, because it isn't easy. I know the way he's wired up. I know how much rugby league means to him, how he loves putting it all out there, and that is going to be a big void that is left in his life, like it is with a lot of other athletes that go through this transition out of sport. But Dale in particular, it's funny, you almost get attracted and fall in love with the chaos and the danger and the thrill and being beat up. So it'll take it's an unnatural. So when I say unnatural, I mean, usually it's a decision that's made that will be end of the season, and you have all the ceremonies in place. And Dale's not going to get that, so it's important that, which I think the Sharks are going to support him through this, the RLPA will and the NRL will, and for a guy like Dale, it's hard to meet a better bloke in football than Dale Finucane.
I'm sure the Sharks will do something for him next home game they have.
Yeah,
I'm sure they'll bring Dale out.
Yeah, you have to have that ceremony, but almost like, going through that process of like, okay, I'm going to make this decision, and then, okay, this is my last game. And even, it's something like I spoke to Dale about. My last action in an international jersey was being helped off the field, knocked out. Kind of still sits there, And he's like, why? I was like, well, don't know. It's just pride, I guess. Like talking like you don't want that to be. So yeah, and it's. I'm being serious when I say this. It's actually the sort of stuff you need to speak with people about and help you process, and because football is so important to people like Dale. So, but a huge congratulations on what he went on to achieve. He's a special human being, and he can play the guitar as well. And he's a David Brent fan, which makes it even better.
I mean, he's so good. That's great. But I mean, now it's your chance to sort of, have you got any dirt on Dale Finucane on the way out? Because it's great. Good on him. Legend.
You know what?
Is he just perfect, is he?
He's a very loud talker. Josh Jackson used to tell tales of him when they lived together. Dale would like get a phone call that he'd want to take him private, and he'd go onto the balcony, close the door, and Jacko would be like, I can still hear you. Very loud on the phone.
Am I right in saying you used to eat cheese sandwiches inside the shower?
Banana sandwiches.
Inside the shower, though.
His breakfast, He used to. He'd have banana sandwiches he'd bring to training. He'd eat his breakfast in the shower because he was just a little bit. He wasn't wired up correctly.
That's very different. Like I've heard, like when you're going out, drink a beer in the shower, but not have your breakfast in the shower.
Yeah, I know. But Dale got results.
Is there any incidences in like during when you guys played together that stand out as well, or moments of training? Because obviously, as you spoke about before, he trains like a lunatic.
Yeah, he does. I can remember, like, he's one of the young bucks. And do you remember Corey Payne?
Yep.
Yeah, so we were doing some 13 on 13. Dale's whacked him. And Corey was ready to kill him. He was only about 19, Dale, as well. He was like, put this massive shot on Corey Payne. Corey was like, and I think Corey was either, I think he was like basically, it was his last year when he was playing. But Corey was very, pick and choose his moments, and he was awesome. But like he knew when to turn on, turn off, and he was sort of getting to the end of that, like, I don't need much contact. And Dale's like out to make an impression. And I think Corey thought, I'll just...
That's the worst, isn't it? When you got people going at 100%. Or isn't that the worst when you're training, you don't know what percentage people... Yeah. That's how people get hurt, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And Dale was going 100% at all things. And Corey was probably going about 50.
Yeah. Even the way he runs out in the field, Dale Finucane is 100%. He sprints.
Yeah. See, I was a walker. Especially towards the latter half of my career.
Save your energy.
I didn't want to
do a hammy,
or like I was saving my energy. But I don't know, I just kind of like walk it in. But there's something about just seeing Dale where he runs out. I don't know. I mean, imagine being an opposition player and like looking out at that, and you've got some lunatic running out. But no, mate. There's not really any dirt on Dale. He's a good man, a good human being, and I'm sure he'll contribute. And look, I think when you reflect, it's early retirement that's been imposed upon him, a medical retirement. But look, for Dale, he can't, and anybody going through this, you can't focus on what you've lost. Focus on what you've gained, because it's 2, maybe 3 years. He's 32. He had this year and next year.
He may consider walking away regardless of this contract. Yeah. And the great news for him, obviously, because it's medical retirement, he still gets paid as well, which is great. And the Sharks will have that money back on their books. So maybe they'll go and try and find another forward for next year. It's probably going to be hard at this time of the year to get anyone for the rest of the season.
I think they've got Finucane Blake coming in next year. Yeah. But for me, I mean, look, the finances,
it's not important.
It's not really
enough.
That important. Yeah. It isn't. It's good and it's it's probably like employment law why they get that, but it's not. It's not going to make that's not where the level of support needs to be at.
Yep. Speaking of the Sharks, though, this is bad news for them. So they're sitting really high on the ladder at the moment. They're off to a flyer. And unfortunately, they are one of their players in the headlines for the wrong reason. Braydon Trindall, the Sharks 5'8", he's been pulled over by police and has been charged with driving under the influence. And at time of recording, he's also failed an illicit drugs test. So that hasn't been confirmed fully yet. I mean, I think people remember a few years ago, Josh Reynolds was tested positive for illicit drugs, and then it was an incorrect test. The incorrect tests do happen in this scenario sometimes.
False positive,
correct. So wait and see on that.
Yeah.
But he is going to be appearing in court in May. And he's not playing this weekend for the Sharks.
Yeah, obviously disappointing for the Sharks. And look, he's not the first person, and certainly not the first footballer to be in this situation. I guess it's one for the NRL integrity unit to look at. But we actually spoke on Jam and Cheese about the improvement in him and that continuity between.
I hope you haven't been giving any other footy players advice.
No, I know. Jesus, fucking hell. What about that? Making it about me, and then this comes out. Bastard. Yeah. Whoops. Look, it's not obviously for the game, and it's not a good look. But he'll miss this week, and maybe a couple more.
Yeah, the NRL have some sort of suspension, I imagine, for him. So
I think it's more on the drink driving side of things. Like that's the that's the thing. The cocaine in the system. I mean, you look at recently what's happened. Mitch Kenny, with the photograph and whatnot.
Val Holmes.
Like it's probably in that 1 game ban. But it's I
mean, I guess driving's a bit different than a picture of you talking. I mean, because Mitch Kenny just spoke about doing lines, I think, in the picture.
Yeah, you're probably right there. Yeah, probably.
Bit more on the. I think it's probably a bit more 4 to 5 weeks, I imagine.
Yeah, there's probably obviously the drink driving. Yeah.
We'll see what happens with that. Good opportunity for Daniel Atkinson playing this weekend at 5'8".
Yeah. Going to be a difficult one for Fitzy to navigate, and obviously when you lose one of your leaders like Finucane, and then this happens, and the Sharks have been going so well. Just hope for everybody involved in the club. It's not the start of a downward spiral for the Sharks. They have played really well. I think they'll be one of the competition front runners.
I really would love to see them go up against Penrith or one of the top dogs to see where they're at.
Yeah, get a real test on where they're at. Yeah. What about this? They played the Raiders a couple. It felt like
they played the Raiders when I was on my holiday. And now they're playing them again. It means I'm due for another holiday.
They did. Man, it's frustrating that the NRL do. It happens every year.
Yeah, it's happened a couple of times already this year, where teams have played the same team twice.
Oh yeah, because Para are playing Manly again.
Yeah.
No, I don't understand.
It is a strange one. Speaking of Parramatta, then Jimmy, Brad Arthur, he's been the big topic of discussion for the last few days, but the Eels players have come out in support of him. Regan Campbell-Gillard said he would die for Brad Arthur, and Clint Gutherson's told the media that they all know that Brad Arthur's future is in their hands and they want to fight for him.
Well, look, I respect Campbell-Gillard coming out and saying that, but him and his teammates, they don't need to die. They just need to work hard and do the little things, which they didn't do. Gutherson always has Brad Arthur's back. It's not the same, not the first time we've been in this situation. I think the players do have Brad's back. I really do. That we've seen that, but they've got to perform, and they've got to know, like within that dressing room, and maybe this is where Gutherson steps up and gets them in and say, boys, like we don't want the alternative. We like what we've got here, but we've got to do it this week. And then he's probably going to have to keep that same level of addressing each and every week, because some teams need that constant reminder. They need that every week. Yeah, and oh God, yeah. I forgot. Because it seems, and you know, I've been part of teams that are guilty of that, where you get that real fire up moment. The next week it's like, oh yeah, we're sweet. We're all good again. You know, you got to keep at those little habits, keep at those little 1%ers, keep at the tying in for one another, working hard for one another. It's not just about doing it for Brad Arthur, it's about doing it for your teammates as well. Because I think Parramatta have underperformed this year. I think they underperformed last year as well with some of the players that they've got.
They lack depth though, Parramatta.
But like every team.
No, but Parramatta's like, you look, Parramatta. They've won one game in New South Wales Cup. They've won 0 games in Jersey Flegg. They lack depth. They've not got the players coming through.
Yeah, maybe.
Like,
yeah, well, yeah.
And I mean, Junior Barlow and Regan Campbell-Gillard, they're not looking like their normal selves at the moment, are they?
But then to start the season, we're looking good.
Yeah.
Then I like that players pick up injuries and clubs want to hide them, or players don't want to be public with them. Fair enough, I get that. But one of their young guns as well, he's playing this week.
Ethan Sanders
will make his debut, but he's also off to the Raiders.
Signed a 3-year deal with the Raiders. So Canberra maybe view him as their halfback for the future. They got Jamal Fogarty there as well, but they can learn on Jamal Fogarty and hopefully have a big career in Canberra.
They're getting quite a nice little crop of youngsters at the Raiders.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Ethan Strange has been a gun for them, and he's re-signed as well.
Oh, has he?
Yeah, he's re-signed. Yeah, because
he was
massive.
There was talk of him going back to
Roosters, because his dad's the coach of the women's team there. But no, he's staying. He's staying in Canberra, which is big news. But just still on Eels for a second. Obviously, Moses isn't back for a while, and supposedly the pressure on Brad Arthur is immense. You know, there is talk that the chairman is a huge supporter of his, like massive supporter of Brad Arthur, really respects him. It's all good for the players to come out here and say all this stuff, but if Mitchell Moses is still out for, I think, at least another 6 weeks. If they don't start turning around things, Brad could be gone by the time Moses is back.
Yeah, you're right, he could be, but it's not about Moses not being there. Like the effort last weekend against the Dolphins, Mitchell Moses doesn't make a difference.
But does his energy change their mindset?
Maybe, but still, you've got to be. Look at who the Dolphins were missing. Like, seriously, that was bad. Jeremy Marshall-King was like walking through them.
It was the quickest. It was the most try. It was the quickest 8 tries scored in NRL history.
I believe so. Yeah,
25 minutes, 8 tries.
Well, that's not good. And I know the heat and stuff, but
later on, June. But before we get to the round preview, I want to get your thoughts on Anzac Day as well. I know today very close to your heart. Wally Lewis, one of the absolute legends of the game, friend of the show. He's been on here a couple of times, and he's made an address to the National Press Club today, and he's called for amateur players to not engage in full body contact training, and teaching children how to tackle safely should be the top priority for clubs.
Yeah, look, in terms of teaching children how to tackle safely, absolutely, 100%. The complete ban, I don't know exactly what Wally has said. I'd need to listen to it in full. But look, I've had this discussion with a number of people, and the complexity around banning tackling in amateur, banning tackling in training. It's been suggested to me that this would increase or make the problem and the issue worse than actually make it better. Now, obviously, well, you look to. I think that there should be limits on this. And we've been over around how clubs set themselves up at the top of the show. I think even in the professional game, there is a scope to police or limit the amount of contact done in training, like so many hours per week. I think that's what's done in the NFL. The Players Association fought really hard for that, and it's now taken very seriously. But you have to. It has to be club wide, because coaches would just. Yeah, coaches would say, we're not going to implement it because no one else is doing it, so it would need to be all fair. And you'd need studies as well, and you'd need to monitor it, because if you change it and if you went to that model and then game day concussions increased, like there's going to be questions that need to be answered. You've taken an action which has then had directly caused. How did you not foresee this? So change in this area is very difficult. What seems to be a great idea, in theory, on paper, can be terrible on the grass.
Yeah,
like absolutely, and make, like I say, make the situation worse. I think it's something that needs very careful consideration. So, I think if everybody's on board, there's a sweet spot there of exposure to contact in the professional game, but not too much, because I think that leads to, obviously you're involved in more collisions and more concussions. There are some things around. There are some studies that is suggesting it's more the number of collisions as opposed to the number of concussions that causes these degenerative brain issues. And I know Wally's called for more for funding for research into CTE and other degenerative brain issues. I think that is not enough money can go into that. We had Roy Simmons on the podcast, and dementia is the number one killer of women, the second biggest killer of men. He spoke about some of the numbers and the families, the loved ones that are impacted through this, the number of people that are needed to care, the cost and all that is incurred in this. So if research can help cure things like dementia, CTE, now people talk about, okay, well, we need to be preventative. And I heard some of the panel on 360 speak about changing the tackling laws by having a more heavily policed match review committee and punishing the players for higher contact of tackles. I think that's fine. That's great. When the Magic Round from a few years ago happened, I didn't have a problem with the referees and the game taking that stance. I just had a problem with the communication, because I believe in an issue like this, you have to bring people with you. You have to bring the key stakeholders with you, and it's through education and awareness, and explain why we're doing these things. Explain to the players, the coaches, explain to the fans, the pundits, because if we're all watching at home being shocked by what we're seeing, by players, it's like, I understand why, but nobody understood why. So that for me is really important, that we bring people on this journey with us, explain why we're bringing in these new punishments, because high tackles have never been allowed. No. Ever. But we just police the game differently, or put them on report. Well, maybe they're a send-off. And Paul Kent, I think, brings up a great point, and coaches will look to use it to gain a competitive advantage by changing their technique. Now, it is very difficult in a game like rugby league, because it is so fast-paced, and the danger of the offload, or what the offload and second phase football does to the game. So the talk of tackling underneath the ball, there's two things. One, I think as a player, as a defender, you become more at risk of receiving the concussion yourself. You also can't. You are then fully committed to the tackle. Now, people would say, "Well, what do you mean? You've got to be fully committed to the tackle." No, you don't. Once you are set in that position to go under the ball, like you can't move off and go to the next player. So as soon as I set, I'm then fully committed. I can't move. And a lot of coaches would talk about not over committing to the tackle. They would talk about I've got to check here. So if I've got two forwards running at me with tip support, I've got to be as upright for as long as possible. And I can't, because as soon as I bend, they're just going to pass the ball because I'm out of play. Or if I hit under the ball and I don't get that sweet connection, I will find an offload, and then that defender is then therefore out of play. Also, like I say, the risk involved, it's almost self-preservation. Like if I go lower, I'm then more at risk of receiving the concussion, and that's a very real danger that is hard to pull out from. But I say this all the time, the most important aspect of tackling concussion needs to be honesty.
Yeah.
You have to be honest. Like from my observations of being in this space for a long time, speaking to a number of experts across the world from the very extreme of, this thing is going to finish the sport, and you get we need a 28-day minimum stand down period after concussion, to the people that I say, a lot more conservative. It's honesty. You have to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with your teammates. You have to be honest with your doctors. Like that is what is going to help turn the tide. Because unfortunately at the moment, not enough, and certainly from the era that I played in, not enough people were honest. They were too scared to be honest, or that they thought the potential consequences for being honest was going to be detrimental. Another stakeholder is the coach. If coaches are looking to gain a competitive advantage. So if you can give a coach enough evidence to say that a concussed player that is still able to carry out their duties is going to be detrimental to your team, they will take them off the field immediately. But if they think, I'd rather have a semi-concussed but not knocked out James Graham on the field, well, I'm going to leave him on. But if they have the evidence to suggest that that's going to be detrimental to their team and potentially cost them, they'll get them off.
It's easier said than done, all that honesty stuff, though, because you got to put your mind in the player. Well, say you're going into a grand final.
Exactly.
You're like, I've got a little bit of a headache, but I'll be right.
It is. Right. But that's the best way that we've got at the moment, Charlie.
Yeah. But it might be the best way, but not most players, if they can play a big game, they'll choose to play the big game over being honest about a headache or something like that.
I know, but at least then you give them the knowledge knowing what they're doing.
Yeah. But most players would still do the same thing regardless of that knowledge.
Well, then that's fine. But a lot of concussions go unspotted and unnoticed, and especially at the amateur game, and even bringing in things like this is part of the danger of bringing in mandatory stand downs and medical suspensions. So if I'm a player who's playing park football but I'm getting $1,000 a game, and someone tells me you have a concussion, I've got 21. Well, I'm missing out with $3,000 there. That's the difference between a holiday, a mortgage payment, a trip. Like it's a big deal for people.
100%, mate, 100%.
So we've got to again understand why people make the decision to continue on, but educate them enough with the risk of continuing on. Then it fundamentally comes down to them to take responsibility for their health. Like, yes, our governing body should help and support and look, but if you want biggest bang for your buck on this issue, just be Tell the players the importance of honesty. Tell the coaches the importance of honesty and how detrimental that player being on the park. An unhealthy player is not a good player.
My opinion on this junior children stuff is a much better thing to do rather than just ban tackling is to do the weight divisions. And then you're not having 50 kilo kids having to tackle 90 kilos, like 90 kilo Islander kids who are just going to just grab the ball and just dominate and smash through. That's more where people get injured in that younger age group.
Yeah, so I've not watched enough junior football to know about that. And the weight category is something that should be looked at and considered.
Nathan Cleary puts his success down to playing in the New Zealand weight divisions. Because in New Zealand, they had the weight divisions in the leagues he was playing in.
Yeah.
And he said he probably would have given up footy earlier on if he wasn't playing that. And he's the best halfback in the game. So that's, I think, somewhere we can look at. And then people learn a better tackle technique. And then the bigger they get, they can take it up to that level against bigger kids. Let's move on from that, though, Jimmy, because massive round of football. It's the Anzac Day weekend. And obviously, we're going to have incredible ceremonies before every single game. Fantastic that they've got a triple header on Anzac Day. It's a day that means a lot to you. You've obviously played for the Dragons in those Anzac Day clashes against the Roosters. How special is that moment when you run out in the field?
Yeah, it's amazing, Charlie. Like I spoke with Cheese about it midweek, and I'm not joking when I say this, but there's moments there where it speaks to the soul, but in a language that you don't understand. It just captivates you. It's something about being in a stadium, playing for something bigger, giving your thanks to the people that keep your country free, to give you the freedoms to do a podcast, criticize a coach, call for someone to be sacked, talk about all this stuff in and around concussion and degenerative brain issues. Like, they don't happen if we're still having to go fight for war, because most people, you lose a lot of life at war. Like, it's incredible what these men went through in the trenches, and for me, it's just a huge opportunity to tip your hat to them, to the servicemen and women, and say thank you for doing what you're doing, because we're playing a game of sport here, and we're doing it in relative peacetime. I know there's been a couple of incidences in the Sydney area which puts a lot of people on edge, but it is relative peacetime. And it's something I really admire about Australia, the fact that we all stop and we all celebrate. And, a lot of the country gets up and attends the dawn service and says thanks, because, some of the stories of war are absolutely horrendous.
I think it's one of the best days of the year, and it's so great that we get to pay respect to everyone. You can go to a dawn service, then you go to the pub, play some 2-up, go to a footy match, and this to see all the people, all the ex-servicemen or current servicemen in their uniforms, and it's just so special. It
is, man. And some people go, it's about you turn it into going to the pub. Well, no, those men and women fought for that right to be able to have that freedom to go, to go and have a good time with, because it's mateship. It's about mateship for them. It really is. And for me, playing in that. My very first Anzac Day game, it'll always stand out. Coming up against the Roosters, 2018. Yeah, it was cool, man. It was really cool.
Was that the game where you guys beat the Roosters?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I think that was the game that Coach Trent Robinson attributes the rethink that spurred them on, because we defended so well that day, and he sort of looked at it and was like, well, we need a way to beat this Dragons defence.
Was that the day where Dufty scored that crazy try?
No, that was the year after.
Did you play in that game as well?
I did, yeah.
That was an insane try.
Yeah.
You guys won that year as well, didn't you?
No, we lost. Dufty had a bit of a rocks and diamonds game, but that was a highlight moment. That was a freak try, but he dropped a couple of balls as well, which led to tries. And even that, it's an interesting conversation. It's like people, media give him or wanted to talk to him about that try. It's like, don't you be getting in his head thinking he's had a good game here. Fucking drove me insane. Drove me absolutely insane.
Yeah, right.
He scored a great try, a worldie, an absolute worldie that'll be replayed. You'll see it on Anzac Day. don't go saying he had a good game.
Did you say that to him?
Yeah. Mate, he scored one. He probably let 3 in. Like, I'm not saying I was perfect on the day or anything like that, but, you know.
It's a great contest, though, isn't it? Every single year, that game, it's...
Oh, mate, amazing.
It's something like, I think there's something like the average point differential in that game is like 6 points.
Yeah, well, look, it's no coincidence. If that Roosters Dragons game, where the two clubs have been at over the past 10, 12 years or whatever, or since it's began in 2000.
I'm not sure the exact year it started.
But there's no way that they're all that close. Like, people go above and beyond on that day because, well, even just playing in front of a full stadium, like 40, 50,000, like, it's special. It means something more. It really does. And, yeah.
If you've got no plans on today, well, you might be listening to this on Anzac Day, or you might be listening to it on Wednesday. I think we're dropping it tonight, but go try and get to that game if you can. If you've got nothing on, I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, it's worth it for the ceremonies
atmosphere
alone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, I read something somewhere that someone on radio had said, like, oh, that overusing it. I'm like, you don't get it. You just don't get it. You got no idea. Absolutely no idea. Like, but, you know, doing the last post and they'd be bugled out. It's like, you just don't understand.
Yeah.
You don't understand it. You do it at every game, and it's special because you may be watching it at TV, but those people that are at the stadium and those servicemen and women that are there, like, no.
There's a game over in New Zealand, which is just fantastic. It's great to see the Warriors, obviously, to sell out again, as it always is now with New Zealand. Every game seems to be a sellout. And they're taking on the Gold Coast Titans. They're big favourites, the Warriors. And they've on a bit of a slide at the moment, so they're going to be fired up for this one. Yeah,
look, it should be a fantastic occasion over there for the Warriors and their fans, what they've been through. Every game is going to be a sellout, but if there's a team that deserves this game, it's the Warriors, and delighted that they're kicking off this round. It's going to be an emotional occasion for them, I think, and I think the Warriors will win and win well. They were disappointing against the Dragons last week, but they returned home, and I'm expecting a big response. The Gold Coast, geez, they've been in their last 2 games. I just don't know how much they can continue to give, and the trip across the Tasman will be difficult. It's actually my same game multi this game. Yeah, so I'm going to go with the Warriors minus 12.5 at the line. Adding Fanua Blake, anytime try scorer. Warriors to win both half, and the Titans under 15.5 points, which is currently paying $7.19.
I like it, Jimmy. Adam Fanua Blake, hey? He does score a few tries. Obviously, Anzac Day is not just about the Australians, it's about the New Zealanders as well. And the Warriors are going to host the largest contingent of New Zealand Defence Force personnel that have ever been together.
How good's that?
Anywhere in this world. It's incredible.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
So, yeah, Warriors, though, as you said.
Yeah.
Yep, cool.
Yeah, and that's my same game multi for that. And also, just in case you didn't want to bring it up, wasn't on the rundown.
You got your same game multi last week, everyone. Well done.
You got the...
What was it paying? $2.20?
No. It was pretty decent.
What, $3.20?
You got the Nearly Award.
And mine was a lot brave. I had the Gold Coast Titans and Dave Fafita score a try.
Just by the way, on that David Fafita try.
Yeah. Bulldozed over, close to the line. Love to see him do that a bit more often, actually. Take that ball at a dummy half and just crash over.
Right. It was like the biggest walking advertisement that a player was going to barge over from dummy half, if you've ever seen one. Like, Manly should have just made a wall of 13 players, or maybe like 8 at the front, 7 at the back, and just said no. Because, like, it barged someone out of the way to get to dummy half.
Matt Lodge.
No. I mean,
his own teammate.
His own teammate. They should have changed Seabus Super Stadium to David Fafita is running from dummy half stadium at this current moment. Like, it was insane, and he still got over. So well done for predicting that. Unlucky for not picking the Titans.
Yeah, well, they had it in their grasp, and they're going to win one eventually. I don't think it will be tomorrow, though, against the Warriors. Second game on Anzac Day, the match of the round, St. George Illawarra Dragons against the Sydney Roosters. Roosters need a win, Jimmy.
They do. They really do. And I think they'll get one this week.
Zach Lomax is on fire.
He is playing very well. Top of the Dally M chart at the moment. So well done to Zach.
You still want Taruva over Lomax?
But I just don't think Zach will get picked on the wing. I just don't think he will.
Okay.
Look, I love what he's doing. I genuinely do. I've been surprised at what he's doing. He should be commended.
Yeah.
Celebrated for his efforts and ability to continue on. I just don't think he'll get picked for State of Origin on the wing.
Who have you got on the wings then, Toto? And
I think it'll be one of the fullbacks,
Turbo,
or another centre.
All right,
that's what will end up. The Crichton will go in, or a Turbo potentially, or an Edwards.
Yep,
that's just the way it'll roll.
Last game on Anzac Day, then Jimmy, Storm against the Bunnies. Bunnies have fallen out of the headlines. They got the win. They didn't get the win. Sorry, they lost, but they put in a good effort. Got the bye, and the news has dried up. If they lose this one badly, they're going to be right back in the headlines. The Bunnies. Yeah,
well, it's Penrith after this as well, so it's weird not speaking about South. They've dominated the headlines for the start of the season. They have a bye. Cookie's back in.
He is. Iro's back in as well, which is a massive in for them. And
yeah, he's a quality player, Jairo.
And then hopefully he gets a bit of a run going here and gets back in the Origin team.
Yeah, well, they're depleted in the forward stock, so Queensland need all the help that they can get, and a fit Jairo, I think, makes a difference. But I've got the Storm in this one. Jerome Hughes' contract as well. I think it's...
There's no way he's leaving Melbourne.
No. Much to do about nothing. It really is. He ain't going anywhere. You'd be mad to. You know what? I was looking at this. I think the Storm have got the best spine in the competition. I know I'm not telling anyone they don't know or anything they don't know, but I reckon that if the Storm can, with Warbrick and Coates on the wing, if they can get Remus Smith really firing, if Sean Bloor can put bit more on his game, and maybe Katoa, and then maybe Welsh play a little bit better than what he's playing now, and they all stay fit, I reckon they're Penrith's biggest contender.
I really thought Kamika could become one of the great forwards in the game
if he can just go up a little bit.
Yeah, he's got the physique. He's so imposing when you look at him. Just on the Storm, talk about the best spine. They're killing it though to start the year.
Oh man,
they are winning the games.
They've jagged a few. But they've jagged the Warriors. They've jagged the Dogs.
Yep. That stat from Dan Ganane though, they are for the first 70 minutes, they're bottom of the ladder. Last 10 minutes, they're top. So if the result ended after 70 minutes, they'd be sitting bottom.
I don't know if it's sitting bottom.
What did he say? What was his stat then? That's how I remembered it. 15th.
Yeah.
15th. Close enough. Potato.
Yeah.
Bottom three.
Yeah, it's telling. The last 10 minutes, they've got it in them, and I think it speaks to their training methods. I'm not having it that Melbourne Storm haven't had a bigger than usual preseason where they've focused on fitness and wrestling, contact, slowing the play the ball down, whatever you want to do it.
Friday night, Jimmy, we spoke about the Parramatta Eels. They go down to Brookie Oval against the Manly Seagulls. Who do you like in that one?
Manly. The Eels were dreadful last week. They'll be better, but I just don't know if they can match Manly. Manly have got they're building. Manly are a bit patchy against the Titans. They should have got the win against the Warriors. They got a draw, but I'm Manly at home as well. They're looking very good. They beat Penrith their last time out. Yeah, Manly for me.
And then we go to the Saturday's games. West Tigers at home to the Brisbane Broncos, Campbelltown Stadium. Adam Reynolds, Payne Haas, they're back. The Broncos are firing.
Yeah, they are. Reece Walsh, how many is he going to score against the Tigers? Like, how do their edge defenders deal with him? Like, Justin Olam basically just needs to like go and try and kill him in the first 2 minutes. That's Reece Walsh needs to be alert for that as well, because Olam is going to fly out the line.
Yeah.
But Walsh has got the ability to just cut inside and make anyone look stupid. No Ezra Mann, but yeah, Broncos in a convincing one for me.
Then Saturday night, Cowboys at home to the Penrith Panthers. And in that number 7 jersey, he returns Nathan Cleary.
Yeah, Panthers, easy. Cowboys, I don't understand what they do defensively at the minute. They're a bit all over the shop.
Griffin Neame in the starting lineup. I thought he would have been in there a bit early in the year. It's good to see him
Griffin Neame.
starting. He's a good player. They stats across the
Cowboys.
I
know. Oh, I know.
Yeah, I mean, this could be a chance for them to, if they get a win over the Panthers, just to show flex that they are maybe a contender.
But just because opportunity's there doesn't mean you take them.
Sunday, the Dolphins against the Newcastle Knights. I believe you're going to be in Brisbane for this one, aren't you, Jimmy?
Yes, we are. Yeah, up there for Triple M.
Yeah.
Thanks for organising that flight.
That's all right, mate. No worries.
Bit of a flapper, aren't you?
I'm not a flapper.
You are. Well, why are we on the 8 o'clock flight?
What do you mean? Are we on an 8 o'clock flight?
Yeah, we are.
Well, man, I don't book them.
Don't play dumb.
I haven't looked. Right,
we're on the 8 o'clock flight, so we get there
8 or 8:30.
8.
Okay.
So we get there for 9:30, right?
Changes some of my
we're not
Saturday night
on
plans.
till 12.
Yeah.
What are we going to do for 2.5 hours?
We'll get some brekkie like we
Go
did
to that
last
little
time.
bagel place.
Oh, yeah, we'll get some brekkie.
Cafe 63, maybe.
Oh, nah, fuck Cafe 63.
Yeah. Mate, I reckon if I'm booking that flight, I'm going, I might even have the balls, which you wouldn't have, to do the 10 o'clock flight.
Well, what, land at 11:30? That's just stupid. We've got to do pre-records and stuff.
I don't. You do.
Yeah, exactly.
Get Ben Dobbin to do them
Yeah, but with who?
by himself.
Anyway, this is boring for everyone listening at home, mate.
No,
It's
you stop telling people how to think.
My same game multi, Dolphins -7.5, Jermaine Asako, anytime try scorer. And I'm going to go a bit of a smoky, Jerry Marshall King to score as well. $10.72 that's paying.
Nice.
You've got the Dolphins, I'm guessing, with no Ponga.
Correct.
Sunday night, the late game, Canberra Raiders against the Cronulla Sharks.
I'm going to go for the upset in this one.
You got the Raiders at home.
Mm-hmm.
Mate, they're paying $3.25 on Ladbrokes. It's juicy.
Got the Raiders.
No Jamal Fogarty, though.
I know, but I like the Raiders.
All right. Well, I look forward to that game, Jimmy. Should be a good one.
Yeah, we'll be watching it on the way back from Brisbane, but let's not forget, competition is closing soon for our live show. You're pretty desperate to tell everyone who's going to be there, so just put me out my misery. Let the listeners know who will be there at the live show.
Two co-hosts. One of them, he's become a real good friend of the show, Todd Carney.
Ooh,
legend.
Ooh, bye round friend.
Bye round friend. He's on fire at the moment. Everywhere. On everywhere.
I hope he's not. Bloody hell.
No.
Mate, well, if he is, hopefully he gets some medical attention.
Yeah, exactly. Just jump on the shower, mate. You'll be right.
Oh, not if it's a fat fire.
A what fire?
A fat fire.
Okay, well, what's he been doing around fat fires?
Well, no, mate, you don't put water on a fat fire.
But is that a kitchen thing?
Well, I don't think it's confined to a kitchen.
So not, yeah, okay, yeah. What happens if you're fat and you get on fire? Is that a fat fire?
Don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know.
I can guarantee there'll be no fat fires at the live show.
Don't guarantee that.
No, I can guarantee
we're cooking up the food.
That's not.
Don't put the mockers on it. You've messed up one of the tour shows because you like. Next thing you know, the Lord Alfred will be up in flames and you'll be running there with your water.
Yeah. And our second guest, Jimmy, one of the absolute legends of the game, Shane Webke. One of the best front rowers. We had him over the summer.
He was fantastic chat.
I loved hearing him talk to you.
His 8K run on every Tuesday.
Yeah.
Hopefully he doesn't do that before he comes because he'll be...
Well, I just want to keep him his normal routine. If he wants to do an 8K
run.
That might get rid of a bit of the inertia of life in the morning.
No, I know what you're saying. I don't mind a little trot in the morning.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll join him.
Yeah, maybe we'll all join him.
Maybe we'll all join him.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll go for an 8K run.
It'll be a live show / run club. We'll run before and then we'll
run before,
get pissed and have food.
Yeah, I'll be probably working that.
Ooh.
So some of us have.
It's never stopped you before. Do you know what? I forgot to talk about this.
That is a fucking low blow, Charlie.
I forgot to
and it's not true.
Yeah. Fair enough. I forgot to mention before at the top of the show, but it's probably more of a bottom of the show sort of thing. I accidentally left my windows down in my car, and my whole car had been like ransacked. So like all the glove box open and everything, but then they haven't taken anything. So now I'm like, did I have something really good in there that I've forgotten about and they've taken it? You know? But
This is probably not a top of the show or a bottom of the show thing to bring up, because I was kind of waiting for a punchline and there was none.
No, it was just
I don't even know if that's a story.
Yeah. Well, it is a story.
It's a
Everything's
story.
a story.
It's a story, but I don't know if it's one that you need to like pull out there before you get to the conclusion.
Well, I think...
Well, you know, you have had drama with the insurance companies.
Yeah.
Like, so, God.
Solved all that.
You solved all that. You're going to be going back, hey, my car's been broken into, or did they take anything? I don't know.
I think they might have done.
My glove box
I think
was
I remembered
open.
now what it was. An old iPhone was in there, and they've probably grabbed that and legged it, and that's why, like, I had a bank card in my car, and they just haven't found that. I think this will be the plumber calling us. Let's wrap this up then, shall we, lads?
Yeah. You nothing else you forgot?
No. I'll just see what the plumber wants. Shall
All
I?
right. You maybe. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the Anzac Day festivities and pay our respects to those servicemen and women that give us the freedoms that we enjoy today. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you next week.